And we are live. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. We are going to go into the best business credit cards for fair, good to excellent credit. What if you have bad credit, getting 0% interest for 6 to 18 months and up to $150, if not $250,000 in business credit cards? You can stack multiple ones on top of one another and add 25, 50, 75,000, a multiple amount at once, get up to 250,000. So you can stop trying to go out there getting loans and getting these high, medium, the higher rates, cash advance, term loan products. And this way you get free money at your disposal to use as you choose for any investment purposes. This one is going to be huge. Welcome people in as well. If you have anybody that needs to be here or later on the replay, please give me a hashtag live in the comments or a hashtag replay. I do see you, Nicole. Welcome in, as well as everybody else. And if you would like to, you don't need to, but you can comment, leave me anything down below. If you have any questions about business credit cards, any loans, if you don't know, my name is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm a business loan broker expert or otherwise business funding expert who helps out a lot of people with credit, cash flow, revenue-based, and or collateral. All of the three, one of the three, two of the three, depending on what you have. And I look at maximizing your best potential around those. We're going to go for about 20 to 30 minutes. I'm going to try to jam so much into this video. I'll also be going into different tabs to showing you some of these fair to good to excellent credit cards and how to position yourself. So here I am in the flesh, as you can see. Sometimes I'll switch back and forth like this. But again, let me know where you are tuning in from if you're here on the live, or give me a hashtag replay if you will be watching later. But again, I'll be going into separate tabs. But the important part of this video is understanding that you need to differentiate your personal and business credit. I've made content on this in the past. Nicole knows about this very well. And I've always said to myself, when I started my business, I need to find a way of separating my personal from business. I need to stop taking these personal loans. I need to stop taking these cash advances, even though it was unsecured and it wasn't always reporting timely payments. I couldn't continue to just use my personal credit profile to fund my business. I have assets, I have homes, I need to protect my family. I couldn't do all of that. I couldn't rely just on my personal credit. And so, like many of you who are, you may be finding yourself in a situation where you don't have good credit. It's fair, it's bad. So the first step of all of this is admitting what you've done and what you have. And then the next part of it is saying, I can't just diminish this. I have to completely eliminate it and say, I'm going to make a change. And then the third part of it is taking action. So you have to understand those three components. And I'll go to the comments in a moment. Thank you, Alma. Appreciate you. I'll come to you guys in a moment. I do want to get through this as quick as possible, and the replay will be down below, or it should be here actually. I mean, the description, I'll have more information where you guys can start a questionnaire and more for getting funding purposes and a lot more. So making sure that you optimize your personal credit profile to get you approved for these business credit cards, because that's what we will be using a lot of the time. You're asking, is there a personal guarantee? No personal guarantee. I'll go in through some of these cards in a moment. There's a lot to cover. So please stick with me. If I don't comment, then you know why, because I want to get through this stuff and I'll come to you guys towards the end. So keep that in mind. And if you don't have good credit, it doesn't necessarily mean you won't get a business credit card. It just doesn't mean you may not get a 0% card. Usually a lot of them want that 670 to 700 and above. Usually what I see to getting you the maximum approval on those 0% interest, yeah, so 700 can get you in, or 670 in some cases, 680 plus is best. But if you have a 725, that's how you maximize your odds. And you have it on all three consumer credit bureaus, not just one, not only on two, but all three. It just depends on the card issuer and from which bureaus they are pulling from. But to get this credit card stacking program, you want to have it more of a done-for-you setup. So myself and my team, what we do on behalf of clients is we go to those business banks, or those banks, any kind of institution, credit unions, etc., and we can file on your behalf an application, and or we can show you how to file your application, how to add personal household income. Do you have to put that? How to put this in the business part versus the personal part, and maximizing that. So it's most important that you do it very structurally. It's not just saying, because I'm banking with Chase. I'm banking with many different ones. And I go, I just can't go to it. Now I know what to do, but I can't go to a Chase if I never knew this and just go apply for a card or do it online and get a response back thinking I'm going to get one in 24 hours. And then I'll get my card issued in about 3 to 5 days, 5 to 10 days. And then bada boom, bada bing, I got something. Yeah, but the difference between working with experts like myself and my team is we do it more structurally. So we say we can get you a Chase Ink card, which I'll go into here in this video. But at the same time, we also want to go pull from a Wells Fargo card, or we also want to go pull from a Truist card. So now we're getting you 25,000 is what you can start off with at this Chase Ink card, depending on your profile. You might start off at the most 50, maybe 100,000, but you may start off at 25K, but then we get you a Truist card for 15,000. So now you're having all that money being added together. And on top of that, we have 3 to 4 more cards to add on top. So now you're getting closer to 50 to 75K, closer to 100 to 125,000. And now you don't have to go seeking for these loans. Those can be in addition on top of your business credit cards. If you don't have enough on those limits, you don't have enough of the rewards, the travel rewards, or what you're looking for a card. So I'm going to be getting into some of these right now, but just know that we're going to be going into the 0% interest business credit cards and what it takes. Let me cover that part first, and then I'll get into some of the cards. I know you guys are anxious to find out about these 0% interest business credit cards. So I'm going to go through these program details first, and then I will switch screens to go into some of these cards. But underneath here, I'll try to leave this documentation down below. And not every organization, guys, is created equal. I've seen them, I've gone through them, and I go, for my businesses, I didn't want that one. That's the team I wanted because they're very efficient. And I'm a very punctual and disciplined person. So you better believe that you're getting the best out of me. And I take action. I don't have to say a lot. I take the action. I don't need to tell you I'm going to get a card. I'm going to go and do it. You don't need to tell me, sweet talk me, because I don't want that. If it's not going anywhere, I don't need to hear that. So I'm a very punctual and disciplined person, and I'm very energy and time efficient. So please do not waste that. So over here, please take the time to fully read them so you understand them. Plus, if you don't qualify because you were a startup, or that you can disregard this part. I was making some adjustments to another video that I was making. But this is true, no doc, startup friendly, no bank statements, no tax returns, no personal financial statements, no projections and assumptions. Like I do all of these with SBA loans. I do those all the time, just so you guys know. And I'll leave more options to the SBA and other funding programs down below. But the questionnaire will be there for you to start. So this is the credit line hybrid option. And you may want to skip this if you don't have a 700 credit score on all 3 consumer credit bureaus, not just 1 or 2, but all 3. It used to be around 680. So this is more in the good to great to excellent range. We'll get into the fair and we'll go into some of those cards, but it may not translate into 0%, which it usually doesn't. So on the 3 consumer credit bureaus, have less than a 700. Then if that's due to high balances, a lot of the times I see people at a 650, 660, or 670. You're at the tipping point. We may be able to work with you and have a payday loan option where we can pay those cards down. And then you have lower utilization at that point. And then your credit comes up to a 700 when it reflects that in a month's time or whenever that date is. So if you don't have that, you can get a credit partner if you need to, or in other words, a guarantor who owns at least 10% of the business. And I just go into how would you like to get up to 150,000 in unsecured, no collateral, no credit, no doc credit cards for your business, even when the banks say no to you specifically, or they tell you you're going to only get this amount. Instead of just trying to do it for yourself, by yourself, why not have an expert team and myself and the people that I'm with and associated with my internal team where we go to work and we find out after a soft pull on your credit, what you have, what's your history like, what kind of cards have you already established, perhaps on the personal and or on the business side, what can we and we can't do. These are things that I look at as well. And you can even liquidate, look at this, liquidate the cash out of these cards. I don't want to exaggerate ever anything. You guys know how I am. I'm not one of those YouTubers who goes around flating his arms or because the production of the video, maybe in time I'll have those, but it doesn't mean because the production of the video isn't quality, doesn't mean this video shouldn't be. So be careful about who you guys gather information from across the web. I get emails time and time again from people who are like, I don't know if this is the right offer. Can you check this for me? And I'll be very transparent. If it does make sense, I'm not telling you I'm going to do something what's in my best interest. I'm going to do it what's in your best interest. And people time and time again, like I got one today, and if you know who you are, you know who you are, but they were very happy with what I've been able to do for them and how transparent I am. I don't scam people. I'm very loyal. But if you break that bond with me, then I don't know if I'll ever go the distance with you or I'll even be able to help you out, because loyalty matters very much to me. And if you don't respect that and those boundaries and be accountable for things, it is very difficult. So let me go back into this document. We'll finish up here and we'll go into some of these cards on the fair and the good to excellent and what you need to be prepared for. And I'll go to the comments. So you can liquidate the cash out of these cards and use them for any investment of your choosing. Let me put that here and let me put it in red so you guys understand this. And I don't want to spend too much time on this subject, but you can liquidate the cash on these, put them on a balance check transfer, put them into your account, or there's a direct way of doing that. There are multiple ways. And then taking that money out. Imagine just taking out $100,000 out of your account. In business credit cards, you can liquidate the cash out of these 0% interest free business credit cards. I've been there with Chase, with multiple other bank providers, and it really opened up my eyes. And I was in this position back then working 9 to 5. Just imagine in my younger 20s, like many of you, 9 to 5, I was in a financial logistics role. I couldn't move up another position. The company got bought over. I was servicing HP and Peace Health for one of the biggest contracting companies, working hard up here, having to move media at that point. And I'm not a physical lifting person, but it wasn't that fast. It was rather slow. And so the company got bought over. I had to make a transition with a few employees, 50 people plus ended up getting relieved from HP, Peace Health, my positions. And I ended up having to go back on unemployment, food stamps. I felt very embarrassed, guys, literally very embarrassed. This was the second time around. I didn't even want to show up at the grocery store with my family and here's my card. I really didn't make eye contact, and I'm an introvert, so you can only imagine how that may feel. And I didn't want to upset my family anymore, guys. I was in my younger 20s. I went to school academically for chemical engineering. I went and then transitioned into business administration. I was a Division I soccer player. And by no means am I athletically built. I was just very strong-minded and cerebral and very good about doing things. So that's just a quick rundown. I don't want to go too deep into things, but I have multiple businesses and I started to venture out. Once that business went down under, I got in contact with a friend of mine. So I just want you guys to get a little bit of background on where I come from in case you didn't know. But this is where you can liquidate the cash out of these and use them for any investments you choose. Real estate investments, fix and flips. I have people with distressed properties, foreign nationals. There's commercial property. You have a new construction project, but you can't qualify for traditional financing because of the property value and other things you're trying to do with the rehab costs. You don't have enough. You need a better estimated value, and you need free money to help you with those fix and flips and more. I do this and much more, and I've built these relationships over time with you guys on a personal and business level. I'm not looking at it as, hey, just join a consult with me and I'll charge you $40 and so forth. Maybe later on, but I don't do that like some other YouTubers out there do. And I'm more than just a person on YouTube, whoever's saying that in the comment section. I'm actually an SEO in terms of blogging. That's where I began. So it's better to question instead of assuming and running directly to a conclusion on things. So the credit line hybrid, we just went over it into here, will not ask for your financials, bank statements, business plans, resumes. Of course, this is asked for when you're doing an acquisition loan for an SBA loan. Most of the time, we're asking for resumes from the buyer and or the seller, and any other burdensome documents that request more conventional lenders' demand. That's what they would look for. And in some cases, if you have a business or if you have fair, poor credit and you're looking for these cards, they will ask for certain things. And if you already have a business with good to excellent credit, if they ask for those things, it's in your best interest anyways, because it can maximize even more the potential that you can get approved for. And you can get an approval with introductory rates, as we said, for 0% for 6 to 18 months, giving this literally the best program in the country in the best terms. And I have myself and my team who go behind all of this, and I have helped people secure that funding, unsecured, secured financing. Benefits, 24-hour pre-approval. This is 0% interest for 6 to 18 months. We can even push it out to like 20 or 21 months with some of the cards from like a Wells Fargo. Business credit can also be used to help you qualify. Flexibility, but you don't need to have this. You can have just an EIN. For those of you thinking, do I need to have an LLC, C Corp, S Corp? An EIN is suffice, but it helps you if you have that entity set up instead of being just a sole proprietor, because when we go do these applications, they'll want to address your business and you'll have to put that information in and what they would require, and your LLC and those components make a major difference on what you're taking onto your business. But your EIN is one that you can start off with for the majority. It's just you won't always get these cards that get you a higher approval or where to begin. So flexibility, like I said, you can use the funds to do what you need to do for your business. Even startup businesses, as I said, can qualify even for non-startups. True no-doc financing program. Application to funding, it's in 3 weeks or less. No upfront application fee whatsoever. I'll go into some of the maybe success fees that I'll get into this, or the total amount that we can get you, what would be an approval. Credit approvals up to 150, if not up to 250,000, especially with corporate credit. No collateral requirements, ability to use credit partners to qualify if you need to. So the collateral requirement, no equity, no liquidity. You're saying I don't have to have any tangible assets like a home, a UCC lien, or I have to collateralize fully my house or other real estate property, or I have a commercial real estate, I have residential. You're telling me no heavy machinery equipment or no inventory or account receivables or more of these stocks? See, that's why this is so attractive. And you have free money for 0% interest for 6 to 18 months, if not a little bit more. So let's go back into this. And believe me, guys, I do all of them. I do the credit, cash flow, collateral, and I know what people are going through. What are the problems? What are your guys' questions? What are the roadblocks? What are the obstacles? What are the results you guys want to get into? So again, no collateral requirements, ability to use credit partners to qualify if needed. As I said, on that 10%, at least ownership of the business. If you don't have the credit for it and your partner does, or you guys need to come up with a way, or yourself, to make sure those balances go down. Maybe it's a repossession, something that hasn't been cleared or has been cleared for past 12 months and so forth. No cash flow requirements. So you don't have to be that person who says, well, I need to meet a minimum of 3,000 to go through a revenue-based lender through a merchant cash advance or a cash advance where you're only getting approved for 20 to 25% of your monthly revenue. Guys, again, I do all of these different services. I'm not saying that just to say it. I'm saying it just so you guys have recognition that what I do works, one, but then two, I understand the market very, very well. I had a meeting earlier with lenders, so I have new stuff coming up in the future. Can help you build or improve your business credit score, which some, depending on the card issuer, you'll be able to report those. Of course, you want to have a card that reports. Sometimes you don't need one for certain reasons. Many don't report to personal credit, but some will. And that's when you're just getting started and you are putting your foot in the door, specifically with a certain bank or banks. And also, if they weren't to report to personal credit, the only way it would be if it were to be a default, you end up in collections, a judgment. There's all these little issues where you can't make the payments. Then it would be more of a report. Qualifications, what you want to have, again, it's 700 plus credit on all 3 consumer credit bureaus. Credit card with 3 years old with a 5,000 plus limit, must be a primary card. Minimum of 2 open revolving accounts within a year of a half of a good payment history. Have under 40% utilization on all, not just one. And I know this is a commonality and a common denominator for different types of funding services that I might not touch upon in this video. But other ones like the personal loan, you're using it a term loan, installment loans on the personal side, they may require you to have less than 35, less than 30% utilization. So no more than 4 unsecured accounts open in the past 12 months. And that is huge. And there's some of them where it will say no more than 2, no more than 3 in the last 6 months, depending on that program. If it's more of a personal loan, no more than 3 inquiries per credit bureau in the last 6 months. So it just depends. And that's this next point here. No more than 4 to 6 inquiries per bureau in the last 6 months, preferably less. There are other programs that say you don't want to have no more than 2. If you have a 650 credit score, it's much harder to get approved for. We're going to have to do a lot more pay down loans and a few other scenarios perhaps, but they'll probably say no more than 2 inquiries per credit bureau in the last 6 months, preferably less. So it just depends per credit issuer and what they're looking for. There are certain requirements I'll go into on the 650 in a moment, so please stick in there with me. No bankruptcies within the past 7 years. I know the whole 7 to 10 year time frame. I've helped out people with bankruptcies understand how to get them removed, how to get them cleared, or if they're past a certain timeline, what are their chances of getting approved for certain funding. No open, or in other words, unpaid collections, liens, or judgments, similar to what you see in an SBA loan. If the SBA is looking at credit, cash flow, collateral, and it's the cream of the top, and this is credit-based, this is similar to that. No open, unpaid collections, liens, or judgments. If you need any of this and you guys need help with credit repair, I'll leave more information down below in time. On the replay, guys, I'll leave it in the description. I'm not used to speaking this fast. We're 19 minutes in. I thought I would be closing here soon. So please stick with me. I actually speak rather slowly, which is great because that doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just I know how to grasp things. I know how to transmit them. And I'm a listener more than a speaker. So if anything, you want to talk to someone like me, email back and forth as well and another communication channels. And I'm very understanding of your situation. So back to this, so you saw a tempo change there, and that's how I normally speak, but I want to get through this quick. So this program does require a personal guarantee from you or your credit partner if you use one. No authorized user accounts for qualification. How it works in 4 simple steps. And this is with myself and my internal team. Your step 1 is to complete the form for a one-to-one or one-on-one consultation with my internal team representative. Step 2 is you submit your application. If this is a soft pull on your credit, why do we need to look at your credit? As I said in the beginning of this video, how do we know what to give you or what you already have or what you can't get if we don't do at least a soft pull on your credit, Experian at least, to at least know what we can and can't do? We don't want to do this and go blindly, or you just telling us that, hey, I have a 600 in credit score on 2 to the 3 consumer credit bureaus. I'm trying to get a 700 on one. I'll have it by the next month, but I have $10,000 limit cards. I have one for American Express. Even if you have those, I have a Brex card. I'm going to go into some of these in a moment. I have a Chase Ink card. Well, but I haven't been using it too much. What can I do to maximize getting another card? But why should you if you haven't used this one under that bank? And that's what's going to help you maximize. So there's all these little intricacies, and you may be thinking, well, I already have enough. Why do I need more business credit cards? Well, are you doing it the right way? That's the better question to ask. What have you been doing? So if I dig up and I ask you, how have you been using these cards? How did you get an approval for them? What is one thing you wish you would have known or wish you would have changed? And if you were to go back again, what would you do differently? And so when I get those answers from people, it's very telling to me when I go, oh, that's the mistake. They did that, but they didn't do this. Or yeah, they did it all correct, but I would have done it at least a little bit like this. I would have tweaked this part of the process of applying for these cards at different times, or these 3 or 4, I would have applied for them at the same time. Yes, it would have been a hard inquiry, but we can pull those off the accounts because this is how these programs can work. So let's go back into this and we'll try to close up here soon. So you'll submit that soft pull on your credit, step 3, get pre-qualified in as little as 24 hours. So it's a pretty quick turnaround, just like some other types of funding solutions, like a personal loan. We can get you a 24-hour response. And I'll leave those options below just in case you guys don't qualify for business credit cards or you don't get into a program like this where they have higher credit restrictions. So I'll leave something like the personal/startup loan option down below. I'll probably leave this document so you can view more if it's in there. And so get pre-qualified in as little as 24 hours. Step 4, you meet directly with the credit line hybrid advisors in my team and get access to your credit lines. We're going to devise a strategy and a plan for you. So you're just not going again out there blindly to say, hey, I want an American Express card, but could you get approved for one? If you are a startup and newly established, or have you been an entrepreneur for some time or a business owner, what would allow you to get these kinds of cards? And what would happen after you start using the initial amount and you start using them time and time again? Because the next time around, they might not ask for anything. They might not say, hey, we need to ask for a soft pull or a hard pull. They're just going to give you that funding that you need to because you're already in that door. If you're not approved, you will find out why. And that's why you want to work with someone like myself too, because when I see a lot of people who go through applications, and it's not only with these types of things with business credit cards, but revenue-based, collateral-based, any other type of credit-based financing program. I have a great personal and business relationship with these banks, with these private lenders, these private institutions, these fintech companies. There's so many names, private sectors. I can go on, venture capitalists, angel investors, da, 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 da. And the thing is, with these relationships I've been able to leverage with them, with others, they wouldn't necessarily be able to give that information out openly. But when they know me and they trust me, they go, Michael, I shouldn't even be sharing this with you. I can share it with you. Just don't share this bit with them because it's very sensitive information. It's personal stuff. Or there's like, okay, it is sensitive, but I trust you to share this with them. I know how you communicate with people. But others, they're more reluctant to share that. So it's very evident that when you work with someone like myself and you're just applying anywhere and everywhere, not just with credit cards, that you be very careful. That's not the best approach to take. I've been telling people that time and time again, yet some of them just go like this, one ear out the other. But those of you who listen, I know who you are. I do. And even if I haven't spoken to you yet, I know a lot of things from character and reputation, having worked on those two. Character matters immensely, more than just your reputation. I will probably touch upon that later, but let's get back into this and we'll try to close up here. There is a one-time success fee of 9.9% that is due after you have received access to your credit lines. If you don't get approved, you don't pay. Best of all, you can use your new 0% credit lines to pay the success fee. So it's a win-win. It's an oligopoly. You're playing a game in your favor. You're playing chess, not checkers. The fee is also how the lenders, they compensate themselves by offering you a low interest, 0% with monthly payments and terms up to 18, if not even more than that. The amount that needs to be filled on the effort it takes on our behalf is something you need to consider greatly. And the rates you get are usually better than anything else out there for free for an introductory rate or a period, but know how to use those funds after it's over. That's another subject. Good debt versus bad debt, guys. Keep that in mind. And compared to the alternatives like the personal funding and a merchant cash advance or a cash advance hybrid, which there's a time and a place for those. And if you need an addition to those personal and business credit cards, yeah, we can do that. But that doesn't mean that just medium to high rates are bad. It's the benefit of using these funds. A business owner who takes this money and says, I'm going to use it to build a gazebo. I'm going to use it to build another shop. I need to get a warehouse built. I need a sub-2 property. I need to get mortgage payments from a seller. We're doing seller financing and I need to have extra cash on hand for a down payment, or this is what I need to do for this situation. So the person who's taking that money, who's using it to double, triple, quadruple their money, not just using it to pay down expenses, because that's what a lot of people end up using cards for, not just the majority, but there's a time and a place to use those. So ask yourself, what is my return on investment from using this money? Or also ask, what is my activity and my financial ROI? More importantly is divide your budgeting into how you're using that money for different percentages for different parts of your business. And these are different topics that we can talk at another time about maximizing your return on investment, trimming your expenses, making sure maybe you're not writing off so much so you have a huge amount of profitability showing, going and trimming down those expenses so then your revenue becomes higher. And what we're looking at with different services, these are things that I can do as well. So back to this topic. You get better terms and rates that are easily making up for this. By far, it's crazy how much of a difference it makes. So those cash advances usually are 3 to 12 months, but they're not calculated as an APR. They're factor rates. When you get to 12 to 24 months, still similarly because they're not traditional business loans, but now you're in the term intermediate stages. But the fee is not ridiculous when it's unsecured, no collateral, max funding. You're not depositing into a card where you have to put down $1,000 to $2,000, $2,500, almost like a good faith deposit. You know you'll likely get that card at that point, unlike an SBA where we ask for a good faith deposit. We still have to see a few things under credit and then the closing stages, but it's a likelier chance you'll get approved when we're asking for a good faith deposit for those SBA loans, if there is one included. And so if you're putting up money, just think about it. You may have the money on hand, but now you just put up $1,000, $2,000 to secure a card. But if you have if you have bad credit, that might be your only option. You think it is, but it isn't. How about 401k, IRA? How about fixing that personal credit? It's about time to do that. It's not saying, well, I'm just going to put my hands up in the air and wave them like I just don't care. I know that was kind of sleazy and weird, but as an introvert, it happens. So making sure you have your credit profile tuned in and your business credit profile, it will go a longer ways. Believe me, vendor credit, revolving credit lines through these business credit cards and more. And you'll eventually even get into business credit lines with traditional business lines of credit. So those are great ones to get into, but those require a lot more work to get approved for. The fee is not ridiculous when it's unsecured again. You can maybe walk into a bank and maybe qualify for, let's say, 10K. But if you were to walk in with someone like ourselves and my team, and we were able to double, triple, quadruple that amount, what difference would that make for you? It would probably make a significant difference. You may say, I only need 70,000, but what if we approved you for 120,000? Well, I only wanted to take 70,000. So then we decide what cards we issue you, what would be best for you to get approved for based on those cards. And if we approved you for enough, that's all you will need. And now you have a projection as well to say, hey, if I wanted more, what could I do? Then you know already what that next step is, instead of just trying to assume what you'll get approved for. With our resources and expertise, we're so long into the video now that sometimes my words go like that, which is also why we charge a 9.9% success fee. You also have to keep in mind the benefit of it exceeding your repayments and how you'll use your funds to potentially double, triple, or quadruple your revenue, and or perhaps save you more money and keeps your business afloat, which keeps you even moving more in business. So here, I gotta put this over here. I left a few things out here because I was changing this document around, and I have a landing page. Actually, might have it open at this time. Let me check. One moment. And then we're going to get into some of these cards that we can acquire. Yeah, okay. So it keeps your repayments low over time compared to the other services. And this is normal and expected. And there's more that I can get into about why it would benefit you for that 9.9% success fee. But just know that that is included. So now let me skip over some of these things. I'm going to go into one of my tabs here. Give me one moment, then I'll go into the comments section. So just know that there is a success fee and it varies. So there are no upfront nor any recurring fees. I want to mention that again. I know I said that earlier, but just to reiterate the points. And there's a difference. So once these credit lines have been established, there's a one-time success fee that is due. This is a percentage of the total credit lines approved for up to the maximum flat rate fee, and can be conventionally paid with the new credit cards that you get. So that's another part. So if you get these cards and you're going to pay down that success fee, you can use that. So that's a great advantage. There's a lot more that I can get into this, but I want to switch over now to some of these cards that we can get into with Fair Credit first, and then we'll go into some of the other ones. One second. I want to find that tab with my card. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to flip this one here, copy and paste it because I have these tabs open. It's actually this one. So one of these cards that I highly recommend to get in if you have fair credit, I'm not going to get into the ranges of fair credit and how you would get to fair credit. That's for another time. And if you guys do need credit repair resources or any other credit increase resources on the personal side, then I'll leave that information down below. But here, what you're seeing on the screen is a Spark 1% Classic card. And that's one that I've helped out a lot of people get. I have that myself. I haven't been using it as frequently because I have other ones now that I can rely upon. But let me move this over. I don't think you guys are able to see that. Okay. So this is a great credit card to get into if you have limited credit history. It's more of one of those, what I like to call starter cards or starter business credit cards. There are other ones that I can add to this. There are multiple ones. And again, I'll try to leave a list for you guys down below. But the important part of this is not just trying to apply on your own. The fair credit cards and some of those maybe are more understanding because the limits are less and your credit history isn't as in bulk. But if you are a business owner who has that credit history and you have enough trade lines, 5+ trade lines, enough revolving accounts, installment loans, car loans, student loans, whatever it is, then that's something you want to take account into. So this credit card, it can offer a $0 annual fee and 1% cash back that card holders earn on all purchases. And let me go into some of it right here. Build credit while earning unlimited 1% cash back on every purchase with no minimums. 1% unlimited rewards. As you see there, $0 annual fee, 29.74% purchase rate, variable APR with your Spark 1% Classic card. And I won't get into everything here, but you can see, as you see there, credit building, build and strengthen your credit by using this card responsibly. There's obviously a lot more to this, guys, but I want to skip through this really quickly and go through some of the other cards so I can be good on time. Minimum payment, your payment will be greater of $15 or 1% of your balance, plus new interest, late payment fees, and any past due payments. I won't go too in depth on the minimum payment amount, but just know, and I like to kind of say it like a business line of credit in a sense, and you only withdraw on those business lines of credit and pay interest on what you use. And then there's these balance fees and what accumulates if you're using more of it. Rewards your way, get cashback rewards for any amount at any time with no expiration date for the life of the account. And see how much you can earn based on your monthly spending. And we see that here, the adjustment. If you're spending, let's say $20,000, which is a lot for many, your business could earn $2,400 cash back annually over periodic intervals. That adds up to that amount per month, of course, on how you're using those cards and what cards you are using. So if you monthly spend $1,000, your business could earn $120 cash back annually. So what this tells you is the more that you pay or the more that you spend, the higher you can earn, up to 600 or 6,000 there, excuse me. So featured benefits, automatic payments, set up auto pay so you don't have to worry about signing into your account every month, $0 fraud liability, year-end summaries. I won't go into some of these descriptions as I want to go into some of the other cards. Account managers, purchase records, virtual card numbers, and then you can view all business benefits right there. Application requirements, as you see there, it's a 10-minute application. It takes about 10 minutes to apply, and you'll get a decision in seconds. This is one of those cards where you will more so likely want to apply. If you can online, do so. And business owner information, you'll need to have legal names, addresses, and SSNs for all business owners. The business information, you can gather your legal business name, address, and business tax ID number TIN. And this is where they separate the personal and business information, business owner information, and what they'll ask for your social security number. And then you can click there to apply. And underneath here, more business cards. Some of these that I recommend too, like the Spark 1.5% Cash Select card, and you can view all business cards there. But if we go up here, you can see more of the benefits, and we'll click through that. See, it's opening up a new tab that you guys can view. Let me go there. So some of the pros that I do want to quickly highlight about this is there are no membership fees, no foreign fee, qualify with limited credit history. As I said, it doesn't require any security deposit, and it does have that high regular APR, as we said, that's 27.4, so percentage above, but that's where it is. And you can earn unlimited 1% cash back, and additional information to that is no annual fees, zero fraud liability, no foreign transaction fees, and there's quite a bit more that I don't want to suck up time into this video. But here, I'm going to quickly show you what they have in terms of benefits there. We're going to quickly go through this, and we're going to transfer to another one. Interested in unlimited cashback rewards? You can see the cashback cards there. And business grade protection, fraud alerts, security alerts. And that's most important to me is fraud alerts above anything, if I'm being honest with you. Because I know of a lot of horrific stories that I've heard from people that I've helped on all of these different fraud alerts, different card issues, racking up a lot of inquiries that shouldn't have been done the way they were done. And I just don't want you guys to go through that. Or if you have, there's things that we got to do first before you go and get approved or you go apply for cards. And you see some of the interest there. So let me go into another tab here in a moment. Let me switch over to this tab. 1 second. Okay, so now let me bring this one into fold. It's because I got to switch tabs over. So here. Should be displaying. Okay, let me make sure. Okay, let me move this back. And we're going to go through some of this in a moment. Just want to make sure that's there. Okay, one that I recommend is the Credit One Bank Platinum Visa. And this is purchase intro APR that is not offered, transfer intro APR that's not offered as well. And then the regular APR to this is 28.24%. So let me move this back. This is the tab that I actually wanted. Going through some of that in a moment. And you can see through this homepage that you have three that are the most popular cards: the Platinum X5 Visa, the Platinum Visa for rebuilding your credit, and then the Credit One Bank American Express card. And we'll go into some of the American Express cards here in a moment. But cashback rewards, you see the amount that's been given out to card members and recent resources and so forth. And you can click here to find your card. And are you a current credit card with one bank card member? You can select yes or no, and then you'll go to the next step. We'll assume there's a no there. What is your credit score? Average. We can do that. Continue. What is most important to you? Oh, you guys can't see that page, can you? Let me move this. Okay, so let me go through this page quickly. That's what happens when I'm StreamYarding. It just doesn't flip through like I do when I'm on a Zoom. So here you see the Credit One Platinum card, and I'm going to quickly go into some of this. And it's a decent unsecured credit card for people that have fair credit, and that offers 1% cash back, kind of like what we saw with our last card on eligible purchases, and it charges an annual fee of $39. It doesn't require that security deposit, and it isn't relatively cheap. It's somewhat similar to what we saw in the other one by about a percentage higher. For example, it charges an interest on an annual rate of 28.24%, as I said, while the market average is around 20.16%. And so the rewards to why people get these are the rewards on those eligible purchases, and you can qualify with fair credit. Some of the cons are the membership fees. It's the high regular APR and then the foreign fee. But I won't go too deep into all of this. So let me show you the application. So you go through this. So see if you have an offer, find out with no impact to your credit. Number two, you view your offer, review your offer details, and then you submit your application. So in the front end here, you see, please provide some basic information: first, middle, last name, mailing address, apartment, unit number, city, state, zip code, email address, and then social security number, date of birth. And then you see your card offers thereafter, determining on some of those factors. But here on the left-hand side, you see cashback rewards, earn 1%, as I said. Free credit score, view your credit score and credit report summary online. Zero fraud liability. No, you won't be held responsible for unauthorized charges. More rewards, automatically get up to 10% more cashback rewards from participating merchants. Credit line increases, receive regular account reviews for credit line increases, which is a big bonus with a card like Credit One. And they like to do this where they will offer you that flexibility more than other cards, especially when you're building your limits and they see that you're using their card as much as you are and you're making purchases through vendor credit, or there's other shops that you're going to and making these purchases. And be very careful not to just go through different retail. I don't want to jump on this topic, but when you're going to a retail store and you're purchasing cards through the store bot instead of it being through a bank certified card through that like a Chase, for example, or you're getting a card through a certain retailer. I'm not going to go through all the names, but it's because it won't normally report, or it won't report accurately to those business credit bureaus. You're not getting the right limits, the cards, the rewards, and all of these different things that come with using business credit cards, even on the personal credit card level. So I just want to mention that. Let me go back to this and we'll try to close up fast here. But you see that's another card. Let me flip through my other tabs just to make sure. 1 second, we're going to go through a few more. I want to open up the Divvy card. That's one that I've been getting questions about a lot. So let me move this. So Divvy is one to use. I've had a lot of people inquiring about their services, and they are very strong. They're one that I have used, and it's the better way to get business credit. I won't go through all of the specifics here, but you see automated decisions up to 400,000, multiple ways of underwriting. These are scalable credit lines, so you can continue to improve and get approved for more. Automated expense management, rewards on vendor payments, virtual cards, which is really cool. And then it says start your application, well known with, and who they've supported. Divvy versus other corporate cards. And that's the hard part about this, is when you're getting a corporate card. And I have friends and family that do this, and I've done this through them as well. And when I've worked with them and I've done things with them. So Divvy, you see other corporate cards may have annual monthly fees, offer fixed rewards, have to be used in combination with other software like Expensify, Concur, Excel, etc. Divvy, no annual fees. I think you guys, are you guys on the right page? Yeah, okay, just making sure. Can't see the tab because I have multiple ones open that it's displaying this. Stable credit lines, automated expense management, as many physical and virtual cards as you need, budgets with built-in spend controls, real-time transaction tracking, integrations with apps you use every single day. So now let me flip over here. I have another tab where I want to probably bring up that document and detail this a little bit more. See if I can find it with all these tabs now. I usually don't get I'm not disorganized. It's just this. I'm adding multiple and I'm subtracting separate tabs, so there's not too many that are being offered. So intro APR, that's the disadvantage to this card, as some of the ones we saw earlier with the fair credit, is that it doesn't offer an intro APR. And then purchase APR, all charges made on this card are due and payable when you receive your periodic statements. There are 0 annual fees, so that's an addition and a bonus, and so forth. And I believe that's all I want to cover for that. And I have on this, yeah, that's all I want to get into. Yeah, that's all I want to get into on that part. So Divvy cards, there they are. You see them on the screen. And we're going to scroll down here really quickly. Rewards of a credit card with the efficiency of software, as you see at your fingertips. It's very digitalized, as I like to say. And it reminds me a lot of these like online banking institutions and how they work, especially when people are getting loans and working with fintech companies. A free card service that also gives its rewards. You can't beat that. Ready to start spending smarter. You see there. And over here. Welcome to the Divvy application, your business email, and you'll go through some of the information there. I'm not going to start displaying all that, but you see a quick interface on the right-hand side here on the ad spend. If you used it for ad spends, request form, then you have the bottom navigation feed on your interface. I won't go through all of that right now again, but let me switch over to another tab to show you a few of the other cards that I would recommend. And then we'll close up here. Let me close this tab. I use that one. I'm just closing tabs over here. And we'll get into some of these 0% interest cards here in a moment. But I wanted to start off with some of the fair ones. And there are plenty more, guys. If some of you are commenting, like, what about this card? What about that card? This is not an exclusive list. There are plenty more cards, like you have the First Progress Platinum Select MasterCard, but that one is a secured credit card. If you have fair credit, bad credit, as well as the other one with the Platinum Prestige MasterCard. So there are a few ones with the Select and the prestigious one. You have the Credit One Bank Platinum Visa, as I just mentioned, that can come with an unsecured credit card for fair credit. Then you have one like Brex Corporate Credit for startups is another one to get into. And I have that one brought open on my screen here that we haven't gone over. So let me flip over that one very quickly. One second, making sure this displays properly. Okay, so this is the Brex corporate card for startups. It's a business credit card with no personal guarantee, and I'll get into some of these no PG cards as well, and with the 0% on that part. But this is for companies. Keep this in mind. If you don't have enough money in the bank, then this won't work for you. Usually you have to have a minimum of 100,000, and that limit has even gone up in the market like this when it can be hard for certain people to get approved for cards and how you use those cards. It has a $0 annual fee, 0% foreign transaction fee, and so forth. So now let me walk you through this page really quickly. And if you have multiple employees and you need them to use the cards for different reasons, I mean, that's the difference when you talk about corporate cards and a few of the other ones that are not. And you see here, I'm going to quickly go through the screen, see what Brex can do for you. Open an account with them. You simply click here on this orange button, and then you will enter your legal first name, last name, and go through a few bits of information. And by checking this box, you acknowledge and agree to the terms of the Brex platform agreement on behalf of the company identified above. So I won't go too deep on all of this. Let me go into another tab now and show you a few of the other cards, and we'll close up. But just like some of the other ones, there are no membership fees. On some of the other ones, there were high rewards rates, 50,000 points initial reward bonus, no foreign fees. Cons, it must be paid full in each month. So you don't have a different payment structure for those for the majority. But now let me switch on over here. For those of you who are asking for what about fleet cards, you have WEX cards, whether you're in the trucking business or not, the Conco Fleet Universal card. There's that one you can use. There's a Sun Oco gas card. I won't go into all of that, but I'll try to leave more information of that down below if possible. But those are some of the cards that I would look into, the WEX card. But there are quite a few more depending on your situation. So let me move over to this tab now, making sure I covered everything. And we'll go into some of the other cards. So what are some of the cards that I recommend for 0% interest? Let me move this over. And I have this open in another tab. I'll go into some of the steps as well to maximizing the potential on getting through with some easy banks to get starter cards, or they're not necessarily building business credit cards. They're more of a, I have an in the door, but these are much easier to get approved for depending on your file. But one of the many that I recommend is the Blue Business Plus credit card from American Express. This is a 0% intro APR purchase for 12 months from the date of the account opening. And then the regular APR, 17.99 to about 25 or 26% APR, that can be variable. So I won't go too deep into that one, but let me move over to this tab just to make sure that I won't be missing anything. I'm going to go into this document here. And this document here that I have opened on another screen, that one's very sensitive because I'm pulling examples from certain clients and it's confidential information, so I can't share some of that. So just one of them, as I mentioned, and you have the American Express Blue Business Cash Card with 0% on that. And I don't want to get too deep into what you can get if you get in, and then after that, what can happen. But now we're getting into some of those credit cards that you would require to have good to excellent credit. And again, there are more details to each and every one of these cards. I just haven't touched upon all of them, but the rewards, earning 2% cash back on those eligible purchases, I know that for sure. And then you can earn a $250 round statement after you make $3,000 on purchases in your cards for the first 3 months. And there's a few more things involved with that. And then once you have that entrance point, you can get more higher limits. American Express cards are amazing. And so let me move over to this document 1 second. This is the sensitive document that I don't want to open up because again, it has others information on there. One second. Okay. So I'm going to go into more of these 0% interest business credit cards. Some of the ones that you will see on the list that I want to mention before I go into getting those somewhat of an approval. You have the Inc. Business Unlimited credit card from Chase. This is a huge one that I've used. American Express, of course, and others. You have the Inc. Business Cash Credit card. So there are multiple Chase cards, and those are amazing. The American Express Blue Business Cash Card, as I mentioned earlier, the Bank Business Triple Cash Rewards Elite MasterCard, the Capital One Spark card. So there's another Capital One. There's the one that we saw earlier, the gold-looking card. That's the one that has a different use and the amount that you can get approved for on those. But now let me switch over to this tab. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything over here, though. I'm going to exit out of this one. I have a lot of them open. Let's close that. Don't need that. And over that part. Okay, so now let me go into this document, and I'm going to give you guys 4 tips or 4 steps for you guys to move forward with certain cards and maximizing the amount you can get. It's most important that you guys keep in mind when I'm going through all of this is that you have to have steps 1 through 4. And if you don't have the first 2 to 3 steps, step 3 and 4 don't even really matter. This is about building the foundation. If you're even as just a sole proprietor and you have an EIN, that's one thing, but having an entity, having an incorporation, and you have your business address, your business phone number, you're listed on public records in the directories. I can go even specific on each and every one of these and where to turn to, the advantages of certain business phone call numbers like Open Call. There's a lot of them out there. There's a Regis for different things you're using, but I'm not going to get too much into the benefits of using one or the other. I can communicate that with you in time and what I've been able to use and what I've been able to help others. But just know, here, let me move this over. Okay. I want to get this off the screen. So if you get your business email, you're probably asking, where do I get that? So you want to structure your business correctly. That's step 1. And there is GoDaddy, of course, it's one of them. There are different places you can go to get your business email. Google Workspace, there's quite a few. But that's just one of the locations. And it can also come in contrast with if you're already using like a GoDaddy or if you're already using that Google Workspace through them, etc. There are many advantages. And then you want to get your business address, of course. I won't start listing what places you guys can go get them from. I have done it with multiple ones. I've tried to see if this one works versus that one, but I'll try to leave more information to this stuff in time for you so you guys understand how to build this. You want to get your business phone number, making sure you have a 1-800 number, making sure maybe you even have a number that's in your area code. And there's certain ones where you can do and or. There are a lot of advantages to some of these. And I won't start naming the actual places. There are quite a few of them that I've actually tested and I've used and I use for certain things. But you want to get listed. You want to get your business listed in the public records. Get your LLC if you can, S Corp, C Corp, at the very minimum LLC or a sole proprietor with an EIN. And the articles of incorporation have that. The Secretary of State, you guys need to go through that. Keep your business name general, last name Solutions LLC. You can have Construction Business LLC. That's keeping it very straight and simple. So that's one part of it. You want to get your EIN number, and you can do that for free through the irs.gov website. I won't go into all the specific details on that. You will want to establish your LLC as a foreign entity. I won't go into, again, all of the specifics. And one way to get around all of this is to use a foreign entity. So keep in mind that some are geographically dependent. So if you're going to a different state, they require you to live in that place or do business in a certain area. Excuse me. And they're going to screen you when you add your zip code. When they see that zip code is not within their state, you won't get approved for. and it'll be in your best advantage, and you're missing out when you're not having this foreign entity establishing with your LLC. So that's a huge thing there. I'm not going to get into the family member LLC and all that stuff, but that's one part of it. You want to get a virtual address to go with it, and then you apply for that business credit card. The loans and lines of credit are all three from a single bank that I can help with. So that's how you maximize the amount you get approved for. And I won't get into the specifics on how we do all of that right now, but another step is you want to optimize your credit profile. So what I want to get into really quickly before I go into the 0% part, let me speak upon the 650 credit and where that can make sense. I wrote this down, so I want to look at my document here just to make sure. And some of these things have changed, so I want to make sure it's up to date. But this is not exclusive. So just because you have fair credit doesn't necessarily mean you'll get approved for 0% interest credit cards. There might need to be a pay down option first to get involved. But some of these may require you to get in with a 650 plus FICO credit score. You have utilization under 30% as opposed to some of them that would require you to have under 35 or 40%. No collections or derogatives. The revolving accounts with 20,000 in them in total limits. No more than 2 new accounts in the last 6 months. This isn't 12 months. We're looking at in most recent history. 3 months is the most recent. 6 months is still that categorical data that we can gather with 6 months. It's like when we look at bank statements, or we look at least 3 months of bank statements when doing revenue-based financing. No more than 2 inquiries per bureau in the last 6 months. So that's a 650 requirement, although it's still hard to get approved for those 0% cards. But no more than 2. You saw earlier, no more than 3, no more than 4, etc. But this one would be no more than 2 inquiries per bureau in the last 6 months. So not a lot of wiggle room for those of you who have that issue or are going through those. You need to remove inquiries. You need a form of credit repair. I work with the best in that industry. Just so you know, I used to do some of this stuff, but I have to outsource it. And I've been working with this guy who I have a great personal and business relationship with. He's spoken about me highly, which I'm very grateful of. And I'm currently helping out a lot of people in that as we speak. But for the credit card stacking, let's get into the requirements for optimizing your personal credit. And these are the things that the banks are looking for that you may not be. This is why it's in your best interest. And these things can change as credit requirements, as their debt capital lowers and so forth. A lot of them are restricting the usage of credit lines. It's one thing on business lines of credit. It's another thing on business credit cards. So you guys have to be on top of these things and knowing it. So you must have about these 6 things in order for getting funding. Have them already being prepared. So they look at the FICO 8 score above a 700. Ideally, like I said earlier, a 720 or a 725 is what you want to shoot for. Less than 3 hard inquiries, as I said earlier, on each individual bureau in the last 6 months. These are hard inquiries. So if you have more than those, it won't work. We have to look at alternatives. No more than 3 open personal accounts in the last 6 months. Less than 20% utilization on every single revolving personal account. No more than 2 late payments in the last 7 years. That's a huge one and will dock a lot of people. I was guilty of this many, many years ago, so don't feel bad. And 0 in the last 24 months. I remember making those late payments on certain cards. I'm like, oh. And then especially at a time when I was using just the personal cards, when I went on vacation sometimes, I was aware of it. I'm very organized, but my spending went higher than my limits. And there was a time when I had lower limit cards. So that didn't do me any good already. Until you have higher limit cards, you really understand how to navigate even higher with those. But that's what you want to make sure of. No derogatory marks, collections, charge-offs, bankruptcies, public judgments, etc. Let's go into some of the banks that I would recommend. And this can change if they change their guidelines. So 10 banks that I recommend myself and my team for easy funding. And again, keep this in mind. This isn't just to say you should just go and apply for them whenever and whenever. This is not, hey, I got the information from Michael. Now I'm going to go and that's not how it should work. Because like I said, maximizing the amount you can get, and you have to do it structurally. And it's not just saying, I saw this card, I want to go get approved for it. No, we'll say that's not what you want to do based on your history, based on your credit, based on what you've already accumulated. This is probably the range they're going to approve you for, if anything. You might only get 15,000. Instead, why don't we work on this card first, show and prove that you've been able to pay these cards and use these cards. And then once they see these things, they'll be able to understand you better and go, okay, they see that they have your history. Okay, this is what you are doing. They're going to approve you for more. And there's a lot more that goes into a lot of this. I've created content on the credit lines and and different things and what they're looking for, but so much I can't cover in one video. We've already gone over time. So a Chase Business Inc. card. These are what I recommend. I showed you a few of those earlier. I didn't go too much into the actual. Let me actually open it up here to show you guys that card. 1 second.1 moment. Okay. So it's a no-brainer. Perhaps you've been on here. I've been here multiple times. I actually had to speak with Chase the other day with the representative, and I was speaking with their business loans department and business credit cards and personal stuff. So this is the Inc. Business Credit Cards page where you can see the Inc. Business Premier card. And then we're going to go down here. This is a new business card, by the way. We more or less spoke about it earlier. I won't go into that one. But Inc. Business Unlimited Credit Card. This one is 0% intro APR for 12 months from account opening on purchases. After that, it's 17.74 to 23.74% a variable APR. Of course, it's not always about the interest. It's about how you use that money. And so $750, that's huge bonus cashback after you spend $6,000, not like $3,000 or $2,500 if you've seen with other cards and what bonus amount you get cashback on. Purchases in the first 3 months after account opening. At a glance, unlimited 1.5%, so it's just more than just 1% like some of the other cards. Cashback rewards on every purchase made for your business. With this, no annual fee credit card is required, as you see here on the right-hand side. Down below that one, you have the Inc. Business Cash Credit Card. So depending on like what rewards and what you're looking for, how you're going to spend this money if you're traveling, etc., there are different things. But new card member offer, $750 bonus cashback. Again, similarly to what we saw earlier. 5% cashback in select business categories. 0% intro APR for 12 months from account opening on purchases. And you see a little bit more there. I'm going to quickly speed through this. I won't go through the application. But you see other cards with APRs already starting from the bat. But if we clicked on this one, apply now, I'll show you how that looks here rather quickly. So I won't get into too much of the application process as I haven't with some of the other ones. I've gone through these things myself and with other cards, and you'll see this stuff with personal and business information, and we're enlisting in the field. But I don't want you guys to go directly and apply online for a Chase Inc. card, especially with the 5 Chase Card Inc. rule or the Chase Card 5 Chase Card rule. But I don't want you guys doing that. And also because you want to manage the relationship you have with certain individuals within that banking institution. But you see here the pricing information. If we scroll all the way down here, I read and agreed to the above, submit. So I want to go back into these Chase cards. So let me quickly move this over. Okay, so I'm on my document again where it's the sensitive information on some of these. And next to some of these banks I've listed like who I've helped and the amount for certain amounts and some little things that I don't want to go too much into detail upon because it's per file basis. But some of the top 10 banks that I recommend to go through, I have listed already here. One of those being the Chase Business Inc. 0% interest cards. And that's where it could be an Experian and TransUnion pull without an Equifax. So certain issuers, like I said in the beginning, are looking to pull from certain credit bureaus, and this one could be Experian and TransUnion pull. You also have Truist with 0% interest cards. There are 3 no-doc procedures, 1 inquiry, and this is an Equifax pull. So without Experian, without TransUnion, they're looking at Equifax. So that might be the highest of all 3, and it's in your best interest. So there are more of them. There's Cadence with an Experian pull, KeyBank at 0% interest cards that you can get through them. I won't go into a lot of those on screen right now. Some of the other ones that I recommend, Envision Bank, Umpqua, USAA, First Tech. There are plenty more, but I won't go into all of them. You just know some of them now. Now, one other thing that I recommend in going into this next step is making sure you pay close attention to these requirements if you're looking for funding from 50,000 normally to 250,000. So some of those requirements don't change to what we see somewhat earlier. So 700 FICO credit score or higher is what they would look for. At least 2 credit cards that have been open for a year, no closed accounts beyond that or below that. No collections, no charge-offs, no late payments, no bankruptcy. Utilization, it's under 15%, 2 to 3 inquiries or less in each bureau, at least 4 years of age history. And here's an advantage for those of you who have a business that's been open for 2 years, or you have multiple ones where this can work in that favor. If you have been open for 2+ years, this is where certain banks, they give you that authority where you've been in enough and you've built enough history, credit history on your personal and or in business. And they go, okay, we can issue you a higher approval amount of a card. Not saying they're going to get you that highest amount, but you get a higher limit for a lot of these. So one of them being Wells Fargo, up to 100K and no docs. And you can do this online without having to go in person. With the Chase cards, though, if I didn't say this earlier, those are ones you want to, sorry, I'm getting a call from a lender. These are ones that you want to go into the bank and manage that relationship in-house with them. Why? Because once you have that bank relationship manager, they're going to know you for you and your business. And so they'll be able to help you get approvals for more limits. They'll even be able to help you increase those much faster for certain people, different files. But over time, you'll then be able to get higher approvals for different cards as well, more flexibility. And that can be your entrance point to getting approved for loans, for business credit cards, as you start seeing your money being generated in your revenue because of these cards and more. So there's a difference within certain banks, and you guys want to leverage those relationships. So Wells Fargo is one of them. You have a U.S. bank up to 50,000 and no docs with no PG, and you can do this online with U.S. Bank. But again, you don't want to just go and apply. Even if you've been open for 2 years, you go, well, Michael, I have 2 years, but I went through some of the requirements. Even if you met those requirements, we need to look at the bulk of history you built over time. Have you been making timely payments? When did you miss timely payments? How long ago was that? Well, how long ago was that repo? Why hasn't that been removed? Or why are you dealing with that versus this? So if we see certain commonalities with certain things that you have on your credit history, we may not even be able to issue you a U.S. Bank card. So there's Key Bank up to 50,000, no docs. And you can go into the branch. That would be best to do. You have ones like a Fund Box, a Blue Line, and so forth. There's a couple of more of them that we can go through, but I'm going to leave it at that. Now, here is kind of the method. Here's kind of an overview. If you guys are wondering, like, well, what would you do? Once your credit profile, it's funding qualified, so I can determine myself and my team that it is in the right shape to do things, then only then when we know what cards we want to issue you based on the time in business, based on your credit history, based on your other limits or what you've already built up in the past. And there are more little guidelines that we go through in our checklist, but we may say, hey, we can go to a Wells Fargo card and go get you this. Or, hey, we can apply for a card online with Wells Fargo first up to 20,000 is what we're hoping in the range to get you. And then we can do this with a Bank of America, and then we go to a Truist, and then we go to a PNC Bank. But for one that I would like to do initially, and what I've done, is you may want to go to a Chase, and you want to speak with that relationship manager and go, hey, how can I get this amount? We're going to get you approved first between 10 to 20,000. And this is more of the personal guarantee method that we're using, not the no PG. There's other ones that we can go into if you qualify for those. Not everybody will. And then after that, we may say, hey, let's go to a Truist and apply for a business credit card. And then number 3, I might say, hey, let's do a PNC Bank and then apply for a business credit card. And then lastly, after those, we might say a business credit card from Bank of America that we may want to do. And it might be in a different order per person, depending on what you qualify for. And yes, your credit, it will be pulled. And there will be harder inquiries, or hard inquiries, I should say, not harder. Well, if you had multiple, it would be. But you will add hard inquiries, but since they are not attached to any open accounts, we can remove inquiries and we can repeat this process over and over and over. And so I have a huge amount of sequences for people that I've created, myself and my team. And some of this, again, that I'm looking at on my screen is very sensitive information. But I have a step-by-step process with Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion on what I've been able to do and help people with, myself and my team included, and where we would go and where we would pull from, and what certain credit cards, what certain inquiries have been there, how many open accounts, and so forth. And kind of a thing that I just listed, not like an actual credit report from someone. It's more that what I've listed, just so I can keep record of it, kind of like putting it on an Excel spreadsheet. But these are just some of the ways you can do it. And there's more to this that I don't want to go into, but it's more in depth on that. So let me see if I missed any tabs. 1 second. I can close that one now. We went into the Chase cards. I'll close this one. This one I already covered. Well, I can cover this a little bit more. So let me go into example fundings on a few scenarios that may qualify you, may not qualify you. And this can be a combination of things too. Just keep in mind, we can also do business credit cards on top of personal term loans, installment loans. So if you were able to answer yes to all of these 3 questions, so is your corporation an LLC or EIN more than 2 years old? If so, that's a good thing. 2, are you listed on the original incorporation or EIN filing? And then number 3, have you lived, at your current home address for over 2 years? And if you said yes to all of these, then business and personal, we can add somewhere between 140 to 180,000, if not more. And then business credit only, we maybe only able to add between 70 to 90,000 originally to begin with. And that's still pretty high for a lot of people. But if you were able to say yes to one or more of the questions that I just asked you, then you pre-qualify for something like business plus personal between 80 to 120K. If business credit only, then it's 50 to 70,000. So it's at a 70,000 maximum, where the minimum is if you answered yes to all of them, and a lower amount that you can get approved for. So now let me see some of these tabs. I already used that one. I went over that document that I covered. Let me close that one. And then I'll close up. I'll come to the comments here in just a moment. Okay. And there are plenty more. Like I said, guys, this is not just an exclusive list. Depending on your situation, I may recommend not even doing a Divvy card. I may recommend doing some other cards, and why you should do that card. I'll say a Capital One card versus a classic Spark card on this one. It just varies per person, just so you know that. So now let me go to the comments, and I'll close up here momentarily. Nice, from Texas. And I saw that earlier, Alma. Thank you for saying so. I want to go out there and visit soon. I want to go out there with family. Good question. How many business? Oh, and I did see your question, by the way. I think you did comment on one of my YouTube videos with NAV. NAV is one that I strongly recommend for monitoring, checking your scores. Based upon, you can call it on the costs. I'm not going to get into the whole costs analysis on this and what it would all entail for what you're getting, but they are very dependable. I know that for sure. I use them. They're very reliable, robust. One thing that I love about them is how they monitor things and how they keep track with the times. When there's market shifts and things differentiate, that's what I look for in a company. If I'm going to use them, I don't want to just see what they're doing now. I want to know how that will also look in the future. And they're most up to date in the market as well with a lot of these things. So without going too in depth, and I can give you more information on that specifically with costs versus this one, then I can do that in time. Hello. I don't know what he means by that, or she. Okay, so I want to address this. This is perfect. For those of you in here watching, none of this ever gets to me. I love it. I actually give you guys a lot of compassion, even for the people who don't really have a lot of haters, but it's just the people who just are obtruse and very negative in how they respond to something. And I go, that's not the way it should have been done. And certain people are just feeling a lot of stress, and they're in a position where, well, I wanted this, I heard this, and that's my belief. What's driving a lot of this, just so you guys know, is beliefs, it's values, it's aspirations. It's more of the character side. It's more of that ego-driven, that arrogance. It's more of that ignorance. And even if that's not on the table, that's a lot of what is driving our beliefs on why we're not getting a card or why we're not getting these loans, these lines of credit. Is because we're not plugged in. We haven't shaped our beliefs. We've been hearing things from others, but you've been working with me and you cannot do anything for you. Well, that's not the case. There are many options. It's just looking at ourselves and saying, can I do that? Will I want to do that? When somebody wants something, they want the least amount of resistance to do it. So if I told you guys, I'm going to set up a plan myself with my team where we're going to maximize the amount of business credit cards you get with some of the things I just mentioned. And if we can get you an approval between 30 to 40,000 on a Chase Inc. card, and then we're going to go do a Bank of America card and get you approved about 20, 15,000 there. And now you're closer to 50K, if not more and above. And then in this place, we're going to need to do this one online all at the same time. Would you do that? Or, hey, I need you to do this first. I need you to optimize your personal credit profile. A lot of those of you who don't have a good credit score, great, excellent, fair, okay. But do you have revenue? Do you have collateral? Okay, I have collateral, but not traditionally will a private lender look at that. More so a home equity line of credit, a personal line of credit where we can get you that if you want to do it with secured financing and a personal term loan in these. So it's not like there's no option. It's just understanding what those are and what you have to do instead of just masking the symptoms, fixing the diagnosis. A lot of people go around that. And I created a video yesterday that I went live on. I'll try to link you guys to that down below, but I created the funding value ladder where you start to where you end up. Where you end up may look different, but for many of them, it's the SBA loan. It may just be the 0% interest business credit cards at the bottom here, and that's all they need to use. We just went over plenty of those 0%. There's many more of them that I could have listed. And then we went into some of the fair cards. Bad credit, you may need to use a deposit to get those cards with the Wells Fargo and a few other ones. Just keep that in mind. And I haven't gone into those specifically, but I'll try to leave a list for you that's not exclusive if possible. Just know that there's a lot of options on the table. I don't waste energy and time. That's inappropriate. No, I did not read from a textbook. I have no real work experience. Cool. I don't want to pay no mind to this anymore, but I'm actually kind of finding it entertaining. So let's just kind of continue to go through some of these. Well, that's not my fault if you lost your contract. Oh, I think I know who this is. Oh, guys, okay. I think I know who I'm speaking with. I won't say his name. This might be the individual or a certain person who has been bashing me via email. Like, well, I didn't do anything to deserve that. I know what I'm doing. I have these business personal credit cards. A lot of the ones I showed you I've used and I still have, and I just don't use them as much. Other ones I do more than others, like the Chase cards, the American Expresses of the world. But when people come to me and go, well, I want this, I want that, and if I don't get this, what are you doing with your list of demands if they won't work? Even if they did work, that's not the right approach. See, that's inappropriate when people do that. And I ask myself, I didn't do anything to deserve that. I'm not saying like I'm the most innocent person, which I am innocent, but it's like I didn't do nothing to deserve. I'm just an introverted person here who knows their stuff. I didn't do nothing to get that kind of outrage from someone. Be professional. And I do this with people. And just imagine, I can say a lot more, but I do not, because I'm that person who gives people the benefit of the doubt. But if I really spoke what I needed to say and it wasn't professional, I wouldn't cuss or anything like that. It's just you would have to read between the lines of what I put you in that email or in another sense. And a lot of people, they just continue to combat that and continue to go back and forth on things. If you could do it for yourself, why don't you? Why'd you come to me? And a lot of people, they should come to the consultant. They should come to an expert because it's not as simple as reading a textbook. A lot of this information online with cards or without cards, there's a step-by-step process, and there's further more into the underwriting process than a lot of you actually think about. So those are things that I share with you as well as on this channel. Of course, every lender is different. You don't have to tell anybody that. Of course. Yet you're looking for a shortcut. If I'm speaking to people, it's very evident the way that they respond back to me or they don't respond, because a lot of people do look for a shortcut. But I agree with you that there is no shortcut. We'll agree on that point. We know that. Cool. You're just repeating the same thing over and over. A hustler? No. I'm beyond the hustler point. A hustler is just somebody who's just trying to get their feet on the ground, get their feet wet, and still hasn't become the person that they want to become. I'm at that point already and moving forward. A hustler is just like, yeah, you can hustle, but it has a different connotation, a different context. So yes, I can say that, but I'm more of a person that's more focused. And now at this point where I know what I'm doing and how to build things, hustlers are just like trying to build different things, trying to do everything I want, trying to like move and move, acquire all these hours in. There's a different context for that though. Yeah, that's why I have my documents that I created myself on certain clients. And I said one of those I couldn't really display that because it was sensitive information. I don't understand all this. I just like I said, I'm entertaining this, guys. I'll go to the real comments if there's anything underneath that. He is home during business hours. Well, I can work from anywhere. I'm a digital nomad. I actually run a digital marketing agency, lead generation business. I run affiliate marketing businesses that I built over many years. I can prove that. And so I don't have to go to that extent. But the thing is, I can work from anywhere, baby. And a lot of you can too. You probably work from home. You have a digital business, or you don't. You have a traditional brick and mortar business, but you're working from home. You're taking care of your kids. You're looking into the business that way. So there are multiple ways. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually with a U and then an LL. I'm not even monetizing YouTube, guys. If you guys, I think I have that, but I haven't even no, I haven't really looked into all that. I'm being very honest with you guys and transparent. I'm not getting paid through YouTube that way, or at least now. Very transparent with you guys. I did not make you a fool. You made yourself become one. And the thing is, see, this is not appropriate. The thing is, we have a certain belief about doing things. And if you thought about it being done this way and it wasn't, how is that my fault? After I've tried to help and giving you the right direction, yet, no, I don't want this, I don't want that. Well, that's the time sensitive thing. If you lost the contract, that's not because of me. That's a time sensitivity issue. You guys can't imagine how many people come to me and they say, hey, I want 50,000 today. And if Michael, I want to, what do you mean 25, 50,000? You know, this process is going to take 2 to 3 weeks, 3 to 5 days to maybe even issue those cards. You don't even want to do that. You want to get a business line of credit, yet you don't have the revenue for it, or you don't want to do 401k IRA financing, whether you have it or not. Am I the fool in that regard? I'm not saying you are a fool, and I take that back too. And I meant it as in, hey, you're bashing me. I don't need to bash you, but at the same time, we got to look at ourselves and determine what we need to do. You don't even know what you could get approved for. You didn't even do anything. Or if you did, we didn't even get to that point. So saying that I couldn't do something doesn't make sense. Okay. Welcome in, Gail. Good question, Nicole. And I appreciate your comment. Thank you very much. That's what an appropriate comment looks like, everybody. And a question, nonetheless. Question me on things. That's what I love. So Giggle Finance, I can go in so many directions with this. Is there something you would want me to talk about when it comes to Giggle? Because there's so many directions. But on a foundational level, I can get into the whole, it's helping people out that can't get help with other funding resources. I can lead in that direction. I can lead into the process on how you get approved. There's so many different directions, but I think they're doing a lot of great in this market, especially with a lot of self-employed businesses or business owners and those who are 9 to 5 who want to start their own business. It actually gives them a point. Like Uber drivers, you have grocery drivers or grocery shopping, like the Instacarts of the world, the Lyfts. You have small businesses, trucking businesses who are depositing less and they're going backwards. So it's a great addition to those who are just getting into the market where they have to just meet a minimum revenue requirement around 3,000. But for even a lot of businesses, they can't meet that yet. That's why you have those cards and other ways of growing your revenue from there. Right. Yeah. Your podcast. Yeah. Giggle Finance, if it's the one that you can qualify for and you have the revenue requirements for, that's what I recommend. I can help you through my own partnership with them and the communication I have with them. But Giggle is just an entrance point for many. And I won't speak too much on the value. I think I might bring that up here in a second. Yeah, I have it on Canva. Let me see if I can open it. 1 second. And we'll close up here. Just keep in mind, guys, I went through credit cards today. A fair credit, 0%. There's more cards that can be issued, many, many more of them. But it's not an exhaustive list. But I showed you guys the appropriate ones. So I have this diagram. That's not the right. This is the one. Okay, so this looks a lot because I did a live yesterday. Now, what this was all about is I have a starting point. This is called a value ladder, or let's call it a funding ladder or a funding stair step. And at the very bottom of this, you see here, let me try to draw. So you see the word start down here? So down below here, let me move this. I'll go back to the comments in a second. So down at the bottom, you have your starting point. This is not the tipping point, but think about it like a graph. You have your X and Y plot. And at the bottom, before you've drawn out your line, you got to start right here. There's nothing that shows linearly or nothing that it shows moving up and down in frequencies, etc. But down below here, you have the starting point. Up at the very top, you have the SBA loans. This is what everybody wants, and this is what I call the cream of the top. And a lot of you have to start down here first to get up here, or you might be somewhere in the middle step, or you might be in the beginning steps, or right above here. So at the very top, you have the SBA loans, not to sound redundant, but right below that, you also have the business term loan and the line of credit through FDIC banks, online or traditional banks. And I work with those as well, just so you guys know I have banking relationships online and offline that I can help get you approved for if you have the qualifications for. Require you to have that credit profile, that revenue profile. Not always is it collateralized, but they may have to put a lien on all business assets. And if you don't, on a UCC filing on your home, or they might even take that as collateral for certain lenders. It's a risk management when they look at the cash flow projections of an established business, projections, assumptions. They look at how much collateral you actually have on hand, and they may or may not take that. So unsecured and secured, there's different ways for these two. Underneath this step, or just in between it, you have the collateral lenders, and you have like the inventory, you have the account receivables, you have the equipment, heavy machinery equipment. The list can go on and on. Commercial real estate. I can go on and on about different collateral solutions. And so that's another one. And then underneath this, you have the revenue base. That's what I put RB for. And then working capital, it might be for expansion. I put an E here for expansion. It might be for payroll. It might be for a lot of things. But you can just use your business bank statements to get you approved for funding without collateral in this point. Non-collateralized, unsecured funding that a lot of the times likely wouldn't report timely payments to the personal credit bureaus, and a lot of them, some of them do, but that will help protect you. Unlike these personal loans, which we'll get into in a moment, but there's these, a lot of the times you don't have to supply tax returns, just minimal bank statements. There's the giggle of the world, Nicole, where this would fall into with personal accounts you use for business, personal bank statements, and it's very streamlined. So there's a personal side to this, but Giggle would likely only be your option. And then you'll also have the business bank statements with I have lender partnerships, personal and business relationships with, and those I can connect you with as well. So down here, you have the personal term loans, the personal lines of credit, personal credit cards, and or business credit cards we can do a combination of. And now we're getting closer down here at the starting point, which you can use a personal / startup loan. There's startup options, of course, but you want to differentiate your personal credit from your business credit. And that's the purpose of what I made this video for. And there are other ways of emphasizing this, but business credit cards is a great way to get you in, whether it's fair credit or it's maybe bad credit and you have to secure it with a form of a deposit or another ways and an additional amount. And you also have the 0% cards for that introductory period with certain eligible banks. And we're going to find out which ones are best for you. So separating the two, it's most important when you get to this stage, you should do it as fast as you can. You may be up here, but you got to work on this. This is what we have to look back on. And so down below here, then you have what I put here, entity type, incorporation, your business name, as I mentioned earlier, business email address, you're listed in the directories, and then it can be your business plan. It could be your assumptions. It can be having a PDF version of your business plan. It could be anything more included that I need to know if we're going to a specific situation and I'm asking you questions on what you need to know or if this is going to work, will you have the answers for that? So I'm very diligent about this, guys. From the very beginning, it's the entity, making sure you're listed on the articles of incorporation, state of incorporation, the Secretary of State, making sure everything is filed, the IRS, I was going to say the IERS, the IRS, having your EIN number, making sure if you guys have, and I was at fault at this for many years ago. When I had a different entity for a different business, I didn't file quarterly tax returns many years ago, many, and I learned that penalty, and I learned then how much I needed to pay. And I was so thankful at the time, though, that I had reserves and I had different banking institutions where I had different accounts, personal and in business. And so good thing it gave me a cushion, but certain people don't have that. And if you're self-employed, 1099, 1099, 1040 contractor, et cetera, and you don't have those quarterly filings and you don't have reserves, or you might not be able to know if you're going to make more money and you're actually paying more of a penalty and you're paying more towards the IRS than having that money being allocated to, let's say you can move some of this money. If you paid quarterly, you can then use that for charity. You can use that for a certain fund. You can put it back into your business and so forth. So that many years ago was a learning lesson for me. Not anymore. So I made a video the other day, you might have seen that, Nicole, where certain people were getting dispersed their grants, but you can't go in and apply for one. Even if you check in with them, they'll give you a no. I know that. They're not going to tell you, hey, we're getting this, we're going to disperse this. This is how much funds we have allocated for the grants, and this is what we have for idle. And I know all those numbers myself, but no, some people have been getting it dispersed late on for certain circumstances. Maybe they have already spoken before in the past within the SBA and so forth, but no, not everybody. And the hearing that happened right now, it doesn't look good for small businesses unless something does change. The direction we're going in isn't going to help a lot. So that's why it's most important for you guys to work on your personal and business credit. And if you can delay that instant gratification or delay that response to fix your personal credit and get business credit cards, that's where I would lean in with. Ultimately, that's what you guys want to do. You guys want to be prepared right now, even if you're already at the top, starting down here, and then myself with my team allowing to help you get those cards and how you should apply for them, bad and good practices and so forth. Got it. With a business checking account, business docs, and through Giggle. I think I saw when you filled out the questionnaire, the concern that I have is on the revenue side and a few other things. Good. Okay. So yeah, I just have to know more or less, and you can put it in an email for me. You have already told me more or less. If you have the foundational parts of it and it's all completed, you don't have to send me it in an email. But I saw your questionnaire, and I know, let me look it up right here again. From a live some time ago we went through. And this was from 12 days ago, Nicole. So yeah, see, like I said, with your credit, that's another thing. The startup thing is another concern. So you may be able to go for some of these business credit cards that have fair credit, as I just mentioned, or you may want to make a deposit. You may not have that deposit to be able to give somebody that kind of money to then be issued a card. So looking through some of the cards, if you want to replay this back and looking at them a little bit more in depth, that's what I would do. But I know what you want to use your money for. We've spoken before. And I also saw your questionnaire. You've seen me on other locations where I've gone on live. But yes, until I know you need it in 30 days. And if you can use another person, you have anybody that is willing to leverage their personal credit to get you approved for, let's say, a personal term loan at the very least? Because that's where I would begin. The whole filing part on your business right now, it becomes irrelevant, at least in this moment, unless you're getting business credit cards and you're working on your business side. But if you're looking at getting funding immediately, I would leverage somebody else's personal credit and their history, maybe be an authorized user on their account. Have you looked into any of that? A co-signer, somebody you file joint tax returns with, a spouse, but normally they want to apply with their own individual credit. So if you have somebody with a 680 and above, that's what I would do. Understood. In that meaning on the personal and business side. Yeah, that's what a lot of people do. I've been there, done that. I know that for sure. That's what a lot of business owners want to do. They don't want to have, there's a lot. It's the stress component. They don't want to be liable for having to pay someone else. They don't want to strain a relationship, even though it might not. There's a lot of things. You don't want them having access into your business. You want to prove something. There's a lot of things. But yeah, with some of the cards that I mentioned earlier, the Capital ones, the Spark cards, there's even a couple of the other ones, but they're more corporate credit. There's the Divvy card. I know we spoke about that and meeting the qualifications for it. But making sure you have an optimized credit profile for these are most important for them. Yeah, so that's what I would look for if you don't want to involve anybody else, even if you don't want to have given somebody else partnership of your business, because with at least 10% partnership in the business, and if they have 700 credit on all 3 consumer credit bureaus, then we can work on the 0% multiple business credit card stacking program. Okay, I'm going to leave it open for about another minute. Does anybody have anything? We're getting into the 1 hour and 40-minute mark. I said a lot less time, so I apologize, guys. But this is of value. Hopefully you guys got plenty of it. I can show you a lot more intricate information. That's until we have your soft credit pull, myself and my team, and we know how to navigate when we ask for things from the FICO scores, how to pull your credit yourself, how to do something perhaps with Experian Advantage scores versus FICO scores. FICO scores not looking at Credit Karma, but more on the FICO side. That's what we're looking at, FICO 8s, FICO 9s, etc. And determining, it gives us more bulk, it gives us more history, it gives us a lot more to determine and things that they don't show on other reports. So these are things that we have to look at. You are most welcome. And you can get going. I'm going to close up here in under 30 seconds. Appreciate you. Thank you very much, Nicole. And for everybody else in here watching, even if you threw some shade and hate on me, I got love for you. I got compassion for those of you who are upset, who are not happy with your results. And that's not necessarily because of me. That's not. I'm being quite honest with you guys. That's not because of me. That's because of something that somebody else is dealing with. There's certain issues, underlying reasons, and they may have tried 3, 4, 5 times and they don't like the answers they're hearing from someone else. And I might have a better answer. But at the same time, that doesn't equate to an approval, or that doesn't equate to the amount you're looking for. So before you bring on any hate to me and you look down upon me, I'm not like that at all. I'm not a mean person. I'm not aggressive. I'm not here to be like that. I'm a Libra that says anything. I'm very honest, truthful, loyal about things. I'm not here to be deceptive. I work on my businesses every day like you guys do. I treat my babies with respect, my family, my personal life. Character versus reputation, guys, matters. Making sure you uphold your character side of the equation. And if you've got to work on yourself, do that. I'm not going to get into all the intricacies on that. I know the step-by-step process. But it makes a big difference when we go into an application and there's not all this uncertainty, or there's not this bashfulness or resistance and all this friction that I don't need, and all this energy and time that I'm like looking back, even if the deal got done, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that again. I aged 20, 30 years into that application process to come out of it like, this is what could have been avoided, and I did what I could, but somebody else is making it a lot more troubling, and it shouldn't have been done that way. I kind of said it in the beginning, what we should and shouldn't do. I got you, don't worry. But a lot of people still, and it's understandable. But at the same time, let's try to leave that out. Okay, everybody. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. Thank you guys for tuning in today. And for those of you who commented, I appreciate you. You don't have to comment. It's fine. I'm an introvert as well. I tune in a lot more and listen. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future content I'll be coming out with. And I'll leave the description down below where you can view all links, the questionnaire to get started. where you can get a very highly personalized and customized email response with your best funding option and options. And I'll break down some of this. I'll have this video perhaps included into that questionnaire email I send back to you. There will be maybe this document we went over today. I'll try to leave that down below with some other options available. If you don't qualify for this multiple business credit card stacking, maybe you need to do personal credit repair. I'll leave that, other personal credit resources, business credit through vendor credits, maybe 401k IRA, home equity loans. What does it take to get an SBA loan? I'll leave those options as well. So you guys have no shadow of a doubt, like, okay, these are the best providers. These are the best lenders, organizations. This is why he does it this way. This is why it's best to do it right now like this in this market. So appreciate you all. Thank you for your input as well, and everybody for tuning in. And I'm hoping I didn't miss anything. I know I missed certain cards. You guys are like, well, how about this card? How about that card? You guys can bring it up to me, and I'll see more about that. But there are a variety of ones. I showed you guys the step-by-step process with the 4-step system, what the banks don't want you to know specifically on how to optimize your profile for certain credit requirements, to get certain cards. And to add from there, we can do a combination of things: credit cards, personal credit cards, personal term loan / installment loan, personal lines of credit. Later on, maybe you now get a revenue-based financing loan. Maybe it's a giggle, or it's another one. It's a hybrid, and then you're getting 20,000 approved for. You're paying off cards over here on the personal side, a personal loan. You don't have to rely always on those business credit cards. Maybe our lower limit, or maybe you get a higher limit over time. So there's so many different directions we can disperse into. That is everything for now. Appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you soon.